Hello, guys. It's Brutus J from Brutus J Podcast, and I hope you guys are enjoying this gorgeous Sunday evening. And if you weren't in front of your TV all day Saturday, I don't know what you was doing, but guess what? We got to talk about it. All right, guys, as I said, what a lot of great football games that took place on Saturday. And I got to say, I was right on all three of my picks. Georgia Tech was able to defeat Clemson, Georgia was able to defeat Tennessee, and LSU was able to defeat Florida. I may have not been right as far as the format or how to win the game, but all three of my picks came through, beginning with the Georgia and Tennessee. Oh my God. Georgia, hey, I know y'all happy. I was shocked with the passing game. But hey, as I said before, played Marshall, play Austin P. What do you have to show? You don't have to show America nothing against them. So I mean, maybe this was, Gunnar Stockton coming out party because he looked good. But also Tennessee quarterback looked very good. A lot of people don't know this, but you do know Tennessee's quarterback came from UCLA. And guess what? Tennessee's former quarterback transferred from Tennessee to UCLA. What a switch, right? So yes, Tennessee is definitely getting what they wanted, but unfortunately they came up short. But a very, very good competitive game. And unfortunately, Georgia has now beaten Tennessee 9 straight. There was a lot of heartbreak fans in that audience where they kept on showing. One in particular, I don't know if y'all kept seeing that guy, but he was looking like he was about to just pass out of them stands. He was so upset, man. But congratulations to all the dog fans out there. Georgia Tech and Clemson. Dabo, 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 Dabo. You biting more than you can chew. But now I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. I'm not one of the biggest Dabo fans. I really ain't. I mean, Dabo, he tends to talk a lot. A lot of people think he's selfish. I guess people think he's selfish with how he run out on the field in the home games or whatever. But Clemson didn't have it yesterday. And a lot of people don't realize it is hard to win, not just at home against Georgia Tech, but it's hard to beat Georgia Tech, period. One of the scrappiest football teams, one of the scrappiest football coaches, which is Brent Key. I mean, this guy just keep winning, winning, and winning. You would think sooner or later some big time program, bigger program that Georgia Tech gonna try to come and take him away. But guess what? Brent ain't going nowhere. You know why? Because he's a Georgia Tech alum. But Georgia Tech was able to pull off a win 24-21. And as usual, Haynes King put on a show. He put on a show. And just like I said before, if they win that game, he needs to be mentioned if you use the word Heisman. Haynes King needs to be used if you want to mention the word Heisman, because hey, he is a true leader. And shout out to them Georgia Tech fans, man. They was able to get that goal post and take it out of the stadium. They said it was a river, but it looked more like a pond to me. But whatever. But they deserve that. Georgia Tech has been through a lot since that championship the year back in 1990. But shout out to Georgia Tech, students. Hey, y'all deserve that. All right, LSU and Florida. Oh my God, man. I just go out there and say it. My heart go out to Lagway. I have never seen a college football game like that. I've seen where quarterbacks were terrible and they threw a lot of interceptions, but this kid, he had 5 interceptions and they were bad interceptions. I mean, they were really bad. Some coaches, even after the 3rd interception, will pull a guy away. I mean, but they stuck with him and, probably going to stick with him in the future. I don't know if that's going to make that fan base happy, but yeah, DJ Lagway had 5 interceptions against the LSU Tigers. They were able to win that game 20-10. The Tigers defense showed up as usual. That defense is the best defense in the country. And I'm not saying it because of that back there. I'm not saying, I'm being honest. That is the best defense in the country, hands down. I mean, Brian Kelly did a good job of getting a lot of guys in from the transfer portal. It's a veteran group. So, LSU defense is really, really good, but that offense is gonna have to get it together because I mean, Nuss, he threw the ball, decent, but one of those interceptions he had was pretty terrible too. But the offense is gonna have to come together, with the defense. Once they become a real complete team, offensively, like the defense, LSU is really going to be one to be reckoned with. And like I said, I'm not saying it because of that right there. It don't have nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. All right, so let's talk about Texas. Texas and Utah. Expected Texas was going to win, and I know during the first game what I said about Arch Manning. He's young and he's still learning, but he's struggling. Arch is struggling. Yep, he's struggling. I'm starting to feel a little bit what not only the fan base saying, but what the media too. I mean, they've been posting a lot of older high school videos of this kid saying that because he played with one double A, that he won't succeed in college. Me, for once, I don't think that has anything to do with it. It ain't got nothing to do with the division. It don't have nothing to do with that. He's talented, he's skilled, but here's the problem. The name. The name. When you got that name, expectations are going to be there. And, you got to meet them. And unfortunately, to get booed at home, after some bad throws that he had, I hate seeing stuff like that. But, I hope he gets better. They were able to win the game. I think it was 28-10, something like that. But they was able to win the game. But hopefully Arch will come through because, hey, in the SEC, y'all just playing, some of these smaller teams now. But once y'all get into conference play, it's only going to get harder and harder. I tell you, harder and harder. All right, Alabama. Alabama. Wow. The Tide, hey, ever since the Florida State game, I mean, I get it. The past two teams, they haven't been pretty good. But a lot of people don't realize Alabama was missing two key players. Jam Miller, which was their starting running back, and their starting defensive tackle has been missing. A lot of people don't know that. But, Alabama, as I said before, because of that back there, you already know I can care nothing about Alabama. But, Alabama is going to be Alabama. And in 2 weeks, they will be between the hedges in Athens. So that's going to be one big time game, to watch. I have my pick for that soon, but that's going to be a tight one right there. It's going to be tight. So I know it's going to be a close game, and it's probably going to be a lot of hitting in that. Now, we had a few NFL games from 1 o'clock today. Obviously, I do my podcast a little, after the 1 o'clock games or whatever. The Cowboys were able to come through. That was a classic. That was a classic. I tell you, 1 week they was talking about Russell Wilson's job, trying to go ahead and give it a dart, and then all he do is come out here today and throw for a record. A record. I think he had close to what was it? Probably close to 500 yards. Might have been like 400. But man, Russell, I tell you what, man, he went out there and he did a little something today. Let's see here. Yeah, Russell Wilson threw. He was 30 for 41, 450 yards, 3 TDs. He looked good. And also, not to mention Malik Neighbors, another LSU grad. Am I the only one who noticed that the amount of talented LSU receivers it is in the NFL? Let's start with it. Chase, Jefferson, Neighbors, Davis that plays for the Jaguars. I mean, it is ridiculous the amount of wide receivers they got. Let me stop for y'all start thinking I'm a homer. I ain't no homer. I'm just speaking facts over here. But yeah, it was a lot of great games that came on. Cincinnati was able to beat Jacksonville Jaguars. Burrow had a pretty good game. Trevor Lawrence had a pretty good game. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence, man. Trevor has had a tough NFL career. He's had a tough NFL. Same thing, him. Expectation. The only difference, he didn't have that name on the back of him like Manning, but he still was a high school phenom. Even in college, he won a national championship. So yes, the expectation was gonna be even higher in the NFL. Shout out to Trevor, because he's from the area where I live at. So hey, shout out to Trevor. All right, you got the Falcons a little later on tonight, gonna be in Minnesota. That is a very tough place to win at. So good luck to the Falcons, even though I am a purple people eater, Minnesota Viking fan. So good luck to you Falcons guys tonight. All right, the Lions, look, 52-21 over Chicago. You know what? I'm just gonna go out here and say it. I'm not that big of a criticizer when it comes to NFL quarterbacks, but Caleb Williams, after watching week 1 and this week, it's just not looking too good. It's not looking too good. I get it. People give him a hard time. They do. People give him a hard time, and it's to the point to where they have reason to. I mean, this kid, the expectations on him are just, since he came out of college, are just ridiculous. He was 19 for 3,207 yards. The bad thing is he was sacked 4 times. But they're going to keep coming at this kid. They're going to keep coming at him, because Chicago, they spent a lot of money, on that offensive line. But they got some more receivers. So, they're really going to be on Caleb. He's going to have to get better. Also, the Rams beat the Titans. Shout out to Matthew Stafford. I mean, this guy, Georgia alum, this guy, he just keep going and going. You always hear things about his back hurt, injury after injury, but he keep producing. His numbers look good today. He was 23 for 33, 298 yards, 2 TDs. Devontae Adams, 6 catches, 106 yards, 1 TD. He just keep winning too. I don't care what team he go to, he keep winning. Devontae gonna go to somebody he want to win with, besides the Jets anyway. San Francisco, shout out to San Francisco, Pastor Barker. All right, now the Rams, like I said, they won. San Francisco beat the Saints 26-21. Buffalo 30-10 over the Jets. And the Seahawks were able to beat the Steelers. I know my son was very disappointed about that. I know he was very disappointed about that. So I'm trying to figure out how that happened. Sam Darnold, 22 for 33, 295 yards. I mean, geez. And, it was at one point where I thought about putting Sam Darnold on my fantasy team. But it didn't work out. All right. Baltimore Ravens, 41-17 over Cleveland. Lamar Jackson, Lord have mercy, 19 for 29, 225 yards, 4 TDs. Zay Flowers, 7 receptions, 75 yards. Baltimore is going to get to the playoffs every single year. They just can't get over that hump to get back to the Super Bowl. But I think this year will be the year. Last year I was high on Buffalo, and that didn't happen. But I think this year, Baltimore is going to make the Super Bowl, hopefully with my Minnesota Vikings. But we got a rookie quarterback, so you already know how that go. All right, let's see here. Patriots beat the Miami Dolphins 33-27. I heard there was an incident in that game. I don't know what it was. Let's see. I was hoping Justin Fields, would come through. I didn't want him to start out 4-2 because, New York, that is a tough place to play, man. But they lost 30-10 to Buffalo. Yeah, that was a tough place, to play some. Hopefully Justin Fields will get it together. Yeah. And you also had, let me see, I called that one out. Currently, right now, the Chiefs are beating the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, 12 for 17, 62 yards in the second quarter. Patrick Mahomes, 5 carries, 60 yards in the TD. Look like Patrick deciding to run the ball in this game. But, that game is still going on. Broncos 21-20 over the Colts at halftime. Cardinals over the Panthers 20-3. The Panthers are the worst organization in the NFL, period. The worst organization in the NFL, period. I hate to say that, but they are. But I can't say this. Shout out to UNC Tar Heels on the victory yesterday. They played Richmond Spiders. Ain't nobody talking about that because there wasn't nobody who they playing, but shout out to them. It's Central Florida next week, and then the week after that, they got to bye, and then Clemson Tigers come to town. How about that? Clemson Tigers come to town. But overall, I saw somebody, they was trying to put together the rankings and the top 5. And there was a lot of people who saying that, since Georgia beat Tennessee the way they did, they should be number 1. A lot of people still saying LSU should be number 1. Ohio State, that. Honestly, I feel like it should be Ohio State. They won a tough game. First game of the year. I get it was home, but they had a very dominant performance, at least on defense. I feel like Ohio State should be number 1, but the top 25 did come out today, and looks like it was a switch. Actually, I take that. Well, Miami. Yeah, the top 5 look like the top 5 stayed the same. You got Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Miami, Georgia that ran out the top 5. Oregon is at 6, but they got a first place vote. So, Oregon, I'm going to tell you something. Oregon, I watched that game with them in Northwestern. Oregon's, they have a very dominant offense and defense. They haven't played anybody yet. Their schedule fixing to get tougher in the Big Ten soon, but Oregon and Dan Lanning, they always going to be tough. Dan Lanning is a good coach. That's another one. If you think he going somewhere, you crazy. They paying him good, and it don't get better than Oregon, especially when you got unlimited spending when it comes to getting recruits in. Wow, who gonna want to leave Oregon for that? I wouldn't. Miami, I never mentioned them. They beat South Florida, blew them out after they went in and beat the Florida Gators. Miami, they looking good. A lot of people was, down on Carson Beck, in Georgia. They was down on him for going to Miami, but Carson, he looked revived. A couple of good throws. He had a rushing touchdown. Same thing, Miami. And South Florida might be a tough task, but a bit of a little tough task. But they play Florida, like I say, next week, and we'll see how they do. Hopefully Legwell go in there and turn things around. When it come to Miami, I just hate when if you're shout out if you're a fan of the U, don't get mad at me. My brother-in-law, he's a big time Miami fan, but you hate to see them say Miami is back and then nothing happens. They always end up getting their heart broke. Hopefully they don't have Georgia Tech on the schedule this year because I need to check that out. Let me see if they got Georgia Tech on the schedule. Let me see if they got Georgia Tech on the schedule because you already know when it comes to playing Georgia Tech, no, they ain't got Georgia Tech on the schedule this year. With Miami, they kryptonite is Georgia Tech, North Carolina. I mean, Cristobal just cannot come through with them, but they do got a few tough games though. Florida, like I say, next week home, that's still gonna be a test. They at Florida State. The thing about Florida State, and we've talked about this before, Gus Malzahn can be a headache for a lot of people if you're not prepared for his offense. It's almost like you remember back in the day, like when Georgia Tech ran triple option. You can even go before then, Nebraska, when they ran triple option. If you weren't prepared or disciplined, you was gonna get blown out. Gus Malzahn offense is like the triple option. The only difference is it's shotgun, and it's a lot of fakes, razzle dazzle, east west reverses, and stuff like that. Which gave Alabama headaches. He gave him headaches when he was at Auburn. I think Gus probably done beat Nick Saban more than anybody. Matter of fact, he's at Alabama. He's probably beaten Alabama at least 4 or 5 times, if that. But if Miami goes into that game, which it's a couple of weeks from there. If Miami goes into that game prepared to stop, I don't even count Clemson out of it yet. But looking at Georgia Tech's schedule, I'm gonna tell you something. I was looking at this last night, and let me see. Georgia Tech schedule. When I tell you the rest of their games is winnable, the rest of their games is winnable. Listen to this. Georgia Tech next week at Temple. No, I'm sorry, home against Temple. At Wake Forest versus Virginia Tech, at Duke versus Syracuse, at NC State, at Boston College versus Pitt. Let's see. I said versus Pitt. Yeah, versus Pitt, and then finish off versus Georgia. They got Georgia at home, actually. So every game I see, Georgia Tech, they can win them all. I legitimately can see Georgia Tech in the playoffs. I mean, people might think I'm crazy when I'm saying this, but I can legitimately see Georgia Tech in the playoffs. So let's just say out of all these games I just named, I would say going to Boston College, when it's real cold, that could be a problem. Late going to Boston College late, that can be a problem. The Pittsburgh game at home could be a problem. Pitt, they pretty scrappy, but I think they'll win that. But let's just say they win all these games and then lose to Georgia. You gonna tell me one loss can keep them out the playoffs? And not to mention win the ACC. So I mean, Georgia, they could. Georgia Tech, they could go to the playoffs. And also a couple of more games I didn't talk about: Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Shout out to the Waltons. I saw y'all in South Bend. Look good out there. But Notre Dame and Texas A&M, that was a good game. Man, I feel sorry for that the guy who the backup quarterback who dropped that ball, man. Had he made that game, they probably would have won if not going to overtime or something. Yeah. So Notre Dame had went up 40-34. It should have been 41-34, but unfortunately, the extra point was dropped. Kicker, the quarterback, he dropped the ball. Yeah, that was terrible. But shout out to A&M, the Aggies. They won that game. They look good. I mean, I'm not gonna hate. Texas A&M, one of them teams, man. They can come in the season with a lot of expectations and nothing happens. Just like Miami, nothing happens. But I don't see them winning anything like that either. Their schedule, is brutal. They got a brutal schedule, so they got a gauntlet they still got to go through. But that was a good win for them to go on the road and win like that. Also, there was another one that I missed. Michigan and Central Michigan. I gotta tell you, hey, the Underwood kid at one time he was committed to LSU, and then at the last minute, he changed his mind and went to Michigan. And we all know why. That money, everybody ain't got it like that with Michigan. And their donors, they got a lot of money, and he looks good. That kid looks legit. It's early, it's still early right now, but that kid looks legit. I'm talking about throwing and running the ball. He is huge. I mean, that kid is huge. But yeah, Michigan were able to win. I know we got a lot of Michigan fans here. Shout out to Bobby Cameron, big time Michigan fan. Auburn was able to beat South Alabama 31-15. I got a question though. What is the deal with all these home teams trying to wear away jerseys at home? What's up with that? We all know it's one team that wears road jerseys at home, and that's LSU. Why all of a sudden all these teams starting to do that? I saw Auburn had they away jerseys on in their game yesterday. Don't get me wrong, I'm so glad we ain't playing Auburn this year because they give us headaches. But to see that, why? Why? Just I don't know. It just did something to me. Didn't like it at all. Oklahoma 42-0 over Temple, 42-3. They look good. But same thing. Besides Michigan, they got a gauntlet. They got a gauntlet they got to go to as well. Tulane, shout out to Tulane. They was able to pick up a victory yesterday. Now they got a game against Ole Miss coming up. That's gonna be a good one. And I'm looking forward to Mr. Shadre Hurst in them trenches coming through with a lot of pancakes. For you who don't know, Shadre Hurst is a Cartersville, Georgia graduate, and he will be going to the NFL. Yep, a guard. Yes, Tulane's offensive guard. He is good. But yeah, it was a lot of great games on yesterday. I didn't speak on Ryan Williams. He finally came through for Alabama. That kid, man, the athleticism he got is just ridiculous, man. Like some of the moves he make, it's almost like Barry Sanders at wide receiver. But that guy had like 5 catches, 160-something yards, 2 TDs. Jeremiah Smith also had a couple of touchdown passes. I still think Jeremiah Smith the best wide receiver in the nation. And then next, Ryan Williams. Correction, Smith had 1 touchdown. 9 catches, 153 yards, though. So both of the top 2 receivers in the nation had good games yesterday. Both of them. Yeah, both of them. All right, so next week is gonna be another great weekend of college football that I can't wait to talk to you guys about. I want to take a bit of a time to talk about some of my supporters and my followers. I've told you guys before, of course I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm also on TikTok. Same thing. Every social media site, it's the same name, Brutus J Podcast. But I'm also on Twitter. I haven't been doing a good job of promoting Twitter. I promote Twitter on Twitter, real crazy as that sounds. But shout out to a lot of the people who have been showing me support on Twitter. I have been getting a lot of love on Twitter as of late. Ever since I changed up everything. A lot of people from the local area, the Carrollton area, the Carroll County area, the Bartow County area. I've been getting a lot of followers. It's not up to the point to where I want. But if you do have a Twitter account, go on the Brutus J Podcast and please, please, please follow me. As you know, the more follows, the more comments, the more reposts, the bigger this thing is going to get. Because like I said, sooner or later, I'm going to start interviewing guys. It's coming. It's coming. I don't want to be a headache in the beginning of the year. Some of these guys going to have open dates coming up. That's when I choose to do it. So I don't want to, get in the way of anything that's going on, with the programs. But I do have interviews lined up and they are coming. But as I said before, I really do appreciate all the support and all the followers. And again, if you don't have a Twitter or if you do got a Twitter, look up Brutus J Podcast and hit that follow button. And you welcome to go down the line and look at all my videos and repost. I got some old videos on there of our pictures of me, my son, from his journey from high school to the University of North Carolina. So you're welcome to scope that out and keep your follows coming on Facebook. Keep it up. Please keep it up. This whole thing since it got started has been like so up. It's been up. My wife, she stays on me because it's tough. I mean, this is a second job. I have another job, of course, but I have to make sure I get this in because it's my passion and it's my love for radio, podcasts. I love to hear my voice be heard when it comes to sports, because like I said before, I love the kids, So once again, thank you all, and I can't wait to get back on here. A little later on this week, we're gonna talk again: high school football, college football, NFL, and there's a lot more NFL games coming on tonight and Until then, I will see and talk to you guys again. And like I said before, please, please follow and subscribe to all of them: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Thanks again, guys. Love and peace.